Great, thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, Happy New Year, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Providence City Council. Today is Thursday, January 7, 2021, and we're here for our regular meeting. With that, I want to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Council President Matos.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Present.
Councilwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal.
Present.
Councilman Goncalves.
Present.
Councilwoman Harris.
Present.
Councilman Iglesias.
Present.
Councilor Kerwin.
Present.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Present.
Councilor.
Present.
Councilman Narducci.
Here.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Salvatore.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
You have 14 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, I want to ask the city solicitor to state on the record the legality of this meeting.
Good evening, City Solicitor Jeff Dana. Per executive order of Governor Raimondo, we are permitted to hold this meeting via Zoom.
Thank you. The invocation is going to be given by Chairman Councilman John Iglesias.
Thank you, Madam President, and Happy New Year to all my colleagues and all our constituents who are listening this evening, and of course, Mr. Clerk and all the city clerks involved. If we could all bow our head in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. We all take a moment to thank all of our family and friends and our constituents, wishing them all a safe and healthy new year. Hopefully the loved ones that we've lost in the past year, either through COVID or other causes of death, that we take a moment to think about them, remember them, and to think of all the positive things that they did to enhance our own personal lives. I ask everybody to also take a moment of silence for our own country itself. It's important that we respect the men and women who fight for this great country, who defend this great country, and who allow us to maintain our democracy. So I asked if we could do a moment of silence for them. We do that for a second. Amen. And I would also just like to end my invocation on a quote by Charles Pickering, in which he stated, "A healthy democracy requires a decent society. It requires that we are honorable, generous, tolerant, and respectful." I ask all my council colleagues and the folks listening that we think upon that statement, and that we embrace it, and then we move forward in the upcoming years to bring a divided country, bring it back together, and to exercise those elements of tolerance for all the people of America. And hopefully we can go into a better year with a stronger democracy and a better democracy for all. Amen. From the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Madam President.
Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America is going to be led by Councilor Catherine A. Kerwin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the republic
For which
which
it stands,
stands one nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice
for all.
Born and unborn.
Mr. Clerk.
Oh shoot.
Okay, he seemed to have dropped off. Oh,
Sorry
he's
about
coming
that.
back.
Sorry about that.
I heard that. Oh, shoot.
My first deputy's got my back, though, that's for sure.
That's how it goes.
Approval of minutes, item 3, Journal of Proceedings number 29 of the regular meeting of the City Council held December 3rd, 2020, and Journal of Proceedings number 30 of the special meeting of the City Council held December 9th, 2020.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan,
move approval of item 3 and a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
the motion has been made and second to approve item number 3 on a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Election of Committee on Ward Boundaries, item 4, Election of Committee on Ward Boundaries.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan,
motion to nominate the following 5 members to the Committee on Ward Boundaries as prescribed by the city charter. Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris, Councilman Nicholas Narducci, Councilor Rachel Miller, Jessica Signa, and Nicholas Freeman.
Second that, Madam President.
thank you. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'm requesting that we cast one vote for the slate of candidates announced by Majority Leader Ryan. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Yeah, I have it. Thank you.
Appointments by His Honor the Mayor.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan,
motion to waive the readings of items 5 through 17 and receive the several communications.
Second, Madam President.
the motion has been made and seconds to waive the readings of items 5 through 17, and those items are going to be received. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam President, just for discussion, I just have a question
Sure.
for item
Chairman.
13.
Chairman Iglesias?
Yes, madam, I just want a clarification. Some of these appointments, do they have to be vetted by the council? I see item number 13, or we know that charter provision no longer applies. Could we ask the city solicitor? And I believe some of these other ones may have to get vetted, and I believe get vetted. The solicitor?
Madam President, there's a massive feedback from somebody.
Yes, I'm gonna also put my computer just in case in mute, in case it's me. But thank you, Councilman Narducci. Could please the solicitor answer the question?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, what specifically is your question? Because the council can vote to approve and or can refer such communications to committee for review, but do you have a specific question? You referenced the charter.
Yeah, traditionally, I mean, for the charter, is that receiving is a different councilmatic action than voting. For example, if I remember correctly, I'm just in the school board committee. That usually traditionally that's a vote by the affirmative vote of the council, where the person who's a member of becomes a member of the school board gets vetted by the council. The council has an opportunity to find out what they're all about, and then goes back to the council and have a right to vote up or down. For example, it's not just simply receiving of an appointment by the mayor. It's not now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just a unilateral appointment by the mayor. It's a submission by the mayor and a vetting by the council and a vote. Now, I'm not saying the council can ignore all that process, but I think it behooves me, and I could be wrong, it behooves you to make sure my council colleagues who are new on the council, that they understand the parameters of their authority too, because they just may be assuming in the future, these are just mayoral appointments, we don't have any say. So I just want you to double check. I know some of these we don't, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the school board, doesn't that get vetted by the council and there's an affirmative vote? No, maybe
Yeah.
I may be wrong. I use that as an example. I think the Board of Park Commissioners, I think, does too, I think. But I mean, some of these other ones, like,
Yeah. So to
Board
answer,
of Tax Assessment Review, I believe, gets vetted by the council and the vote, but
right.
you tell me.
With response to your specific question about
And by the way, and Board of Licenses too, right? I'm looking at it, so I'm just looking at these.
Board of
so-
Licenses, yes. But with respect to your specific question, it looks like item number 13 is a nomination to the school board nominating committee. So I don't believe that requires, you're correct per charter provision 701 that school board members are appointed by the mayor with the approval of the city council. But this is
Okay.
indicates that it's a nomination to the school board nominating committee,
Oh,
not
okay.
to the school
That's-
board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So,
You're
so
welcome.
those particular, I guess the other ones, how about when, I guess we haven't got to them, but I guess the Board of Tax Assessment Review, isn't that a vetted one? And Board of Licenses, I thought too, right? Well,
Mr.
we haven't
Chairman,
got them yet,
those
right?
will get referred. Yep. those will
Okay,
get
so
referred.
I might have jumped the gun. I just want to make sure I didn't, thank you, Mr. Solicitor, for clarifying that.
That's fine.
Thank you.
No
Thank you very
problem.
much. Okay, thank you, Madam
Okay.
President.
You're welcome. So the motion has been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Item 18, communication.
Madam President.
Leader Ryan?
Motion to waive the readings of items 18 through 28 and refer on the several communications to the famous Finance Committee.
Second, Madam President.
The motion
you.
has been made and second to waive the readings of the items 18 through 28. And these items are going to be referred to the Committee on Finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam
Opposed?
President.
Yeah.
Madam President,
Councilman Adichie?
the docket that I have
Mm-hmm.
stops at item number 26. Hang on. And goes right to item number 31. I don't have 27, 28, 29, or 30.
Can we get the Councilman, Councilman, are you able to get in your email a copy?
Yeah, if they send it to me, I can. I don't know if I'll be able to read them, but
We want to make sure you have those.
yeah, I don't know. And shame on me because I had this docket since yesterday and I just noticed it now.
Tina, can you take care of that?
Yes, I'm doing so right.
Thanks so much.
All right. We're just gonna wait a little bit to make sure that the Councilman has a copy of.
I could also verbally read a summary of those items if desired, but we can get that copy to the councilman as well.
So far, I haven't received anything.
Okay. It's just been sent.
Okay, I haven't received it. Rather than hold the meeting up, clerk and Madam President, if the clerk can just read each one of them for me as we go.
Okay, so, Mr. Clerk?
Which are the items, sir? And I can just give you the quick summary of those.
Yes, please.
Which items are they? Did you say 28 through 30?
28, 29, and 30.
It is Mark Greenfield to the chairman of the Zoning Board of Review. It's a mayoral appointment. Number is 28. Number 29 is a appointment from the City Council President of Priscilla De La Cruz to the Environmental Sustainability Task Force. And The number 30 is a presentation of an ordinance by Councilman Igliozzi, which is an ordinance establishing a tax stabilization agreement for 49 Westfield LLC. And all three of those items will be, or I'm sorry, yes. We haven't gotten to 29 and 30 yet, actually, so we'll be taking those up in a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, can we continue?
Sure. Item 29, appointment by City Council President, communication from Council President Matos dated December 30th, 2020, informing the City Clerk of her appointment of Priscilla de la Cruz, 388 Jastrom Street, number 2, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908, to the Environmental Sustainability Task Force.
Received.
Presentation of ordinances, item 30, Councilman Igliozzi, an ordinance establishing a tax stabilization agreement for 49 Westfield LLC.
Refer to the Committee on Finance.
Item 31, Councilwoman LaFortune, Anthony, Councilman Correa, Espinal, Councilor Miller, and Councilman Goncalves. An ordinance amending Chapter 10, Food and Food Products, Article 1 in general of the Providence Code of Ordinances to add Section 11, third-party delivery services. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Madam President, I'd like to co-sponsor if the sponsor doesn't have any objection.
So just make sure I have everyone. I have Chairman Igliozzi,
Castillo.
Councilman Salvatore, Councilwoman Castillo, Councilor Kerwin, Councilwoman LaFortune wants to speak, correct? So let me just take all of the sponsor. Councilman Narducci would like to sponsor. Any other sponsor that I'm missing? Okay. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you to all the co-sponsors in supporting this. So I did introduce a while ago a third-party delivery service ordinance, and during that time, after it was introduced and it was in the ordinance committee, I had an opportunity to continue my conversation with restaurant owners throughout the city, as well as these third-party delivery services. We have seen the impact of COVID-19, of this pandemic, on our restaurant and hospitality industry. So many people are being laid off. Our larger scale, as well as our small local family-owned restaurants are suffering. And many of them are relying on innovative ways to keep their business going, to implement a new business model. And that includes using pickup or delivery services, which some of them did not do or have like the tools or technology to do so. So after speaking to some of the restaurants, they shared with us some of the concerns that they had and the challenges. One was the fees, which the previous ordinance was really focused on the fees, but also something that came up repeatedly was just the lack of knowledge and communication from these third parties. Many of them were not aware that their restaurants were being advertised on these platforms. They didn't sign any agreement. There wasn't any way to regulate it. And so I met with the third party, a few of the third party delivery services and their representatives, and we talked about these concerns. I also asked about their business model and the systems that they have, and they shared their tiered systems and they're having the ability to employ drivers to deliver the food, etc. And what we thought about and came up with was that rather than have a system where people are not aware that their restaurant is being advertised or their logo is being placed on these websites, the two major third-party delivery services that I spoke with, they actually agreed that they would no longer advertise any restaurant without having a consent and without having a clear communication or an agreement with them stating that they are agreeing to this and that they are using their service. And also the type of service that they're provided, which can be tiered, they are going to make sure that these restaurants understand what they're signing up for, and they have the option to choose what level. The other thing that is included in this ordinance is for these third parties delivery services to be registered with our state. We have to make sure that we're protecting our businesses. And in order to regulate any type of industry that's providing them with the service, we have to know who's here, who's providing that service, and not having some mechanism to track these services down or these businesses down if there's an issue is quite problematic. So registering these third-party delivery services also addresses the accountability component, and we could hold these third-party delivery services accountable. If something goes wrong, we can respond accordingly as a community. But more importantly, what this ordinance does is protects our restaurants. And there's much more that we need to do. I hope to engage in more in conversations with my fellow council colleagues, as well as the mayor's office, and some of our business owners, because every business, every restaurant is different. And this pandemic is impacting them differently. But what we do know, it has had some significant adverse economic impact. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to protect our restaurants and to ensure that they can thrive and recover from this. So I thank the people who have committed to co-sponsoring this. And I hope that we can continue this conversation and other council members can support this ordinance. Thank you.
This item is going to be referred to the Committee on Ordinance.
Presentation of resolutions. Item 32, Council President Matos, Councilor Miller, Councilman Goncalves. Resolution memorializing the General Assembly to enact legislation authorizing the City of Providence to issue not to exceed $140 million in general obligation bonds, notes, and other evidences of indebtedness to finance the construction, renovation, improvement, alteration, repair, landscaping, furnishing, and equipping of schools and school facilities throughout the city, subject to approval of state housing aid at a reimbursement rate or state share ratio of not less than 75% at the time of issuance, and provided that the authorization shall be reduced by the amount of certain grants received from state bond proceeds from the Rhode Island Department of Education or from the Rhode Island School Building Authority. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Councilman Arducci, Councilman Salvatore, Councilwoman Castillo,
Madam President, I'd like to co-sponsor too.
Chairman Igliosi,
Councilman Espinal,
Councilman Espinal, Leader Ryan, Councilor Kerwin, Councilwoman LaFortune, your Councilwoman LaFortune, Councilwoman Castillo, both of your hands are still, Councilwoman Castillo, your hands are still up, but we already got her. Am I missing anybody? Okay, this item is going to be referred to the Committee on Finance.
I believe Councilwoman Anthony had her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Councilwoman Anthony. Thank you, Leader Ryan.
My pleasure.
Councilwoman Anthony also, thanks.
Item 33, Councilman
Madam
Correa.
President,
Leader Ryan.
motion to waive the readings of items 33 through 37 and to pass on a voice vote.
Second.
Is it items 33 to
37, 33 through 37.
37, thank you. The motion has been made and second to waive the readings of the items 33 to 37, and these items are going to be passed on a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Both?
Aye.
Yeah, I have it.
Item 38, Councilman Goncalves, Councilwoman Anthony, Castillo, Councilman Correa, Councilwoman LaFortune, Councilor Miller, and Councilwoman Ryan. with Councilors Harris and Matos. Resolution regarding an environmental preferable purchasing EPP policy for the city of Providence.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan.
motion to pass item 38 on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
Motion has been made and second to pass item number 38 on a voice vote, and I noticed that the sponsor, Councilman Goncalves, would like to speak.
Excuse me 1 second. Can you please read item number 38 for me again, please? For some reason, I don't have, I'm missing a couple of different pages here.
Mr. Clerk?
This is a resolution regarding an environmentally preferable purchasing policy for the city of Providence.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna ask for co-sponsor. Want to make sure that, so Councilman Salvatore, co-sponsor, Councilman Espinal,
Thank you.
Councilman Igliosi,
Yes, Madam President, thank you.
Councilor Kerwin,
I would like
any
to
additional?
sponsor also. Councilman Taylor.
Councilman Taylor, Councilman. Okay, and I would like so additional co-sponsor that I'm missing. So now I'm gonna go to Councilman Goncalves.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the council. 2021 has been a difficult year for all of us, and there have been several concurrent issues going on, including the economic crisis, a crisis of racial injustice, and the crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic. But one thing that we can't overlook is the climate crisis. And we know now is the time to act, and to act with urgency, despite all the concurrent challenges right now. And this resolution supports the establishment of an environmentally preferable purchasing, or EPP policy, which would result in recommendations of procuring goods and services that minimize the use of products containing neurotoxic chemicals in city-owned facilities, and creates incentives to think about alternative ways to build a local regenerative and circular economy. And this policy also will help guide the city staff in making purchasing choices that minimize negative effects on municipal employees. And buying greener products doesn't necessarily mean paying more, especially when other cost factors are considered. And cities across the country have implemented EPP policies, including New York, San Francisco, Portland, and more. And so this is a great opportunity for us to act swiftly and to move forward similar policy goals that put us on a path towards environmental sustainability that truly benefits the city. And ultimately, the EPP policy allows us to lead by example and support the goals of the Climate Justice Plan. So I want to thank the Racial and Environmental Justice Committee for their work on the Climate Justice Plan, Kyra Newmoff, Healthy Babies, Bright Futures, John Berard, and Michelle Bowden of Clean Action, Water Action Rhode Island, as well as Sue Anderbois and the Environmental Sustainability Task Force. And finally, Leah Bamberger and Emily Koo and their team from the City of Providence's Office of Sustainability, and also Alejandro Torrado, I believe, Alex Burdick of the Purchasing Department for their partnership in advance. And I want to thank you all for your support of this initiative.
Thank you. The motion has been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? May I have it?
Item 39,
Mr.
a
Clerk?
resolution.
Leader Ryan? Leader Ryan, you're muted.
Sorry. Motion, motion to waive the reading of items 39 through 44 and pass in a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
So the motion is to ask the clerk to read the items.
Actually, I waived the readings. That was my motion. Would you like
To
me to
waive
have
the
them read?
reading?
I did.
Yes, because I believe we're gonna have additional co-sponsor. Can we just have the
You'd like
clerk
them-
read these items and then so we can take the co-sponsors?
Thank
Thank you.
I take back my motion and I make another motion
Thank you.
to ask the clerk to read the items in 39 through 44 and to pass on a voice vote.
Take back my second and then second. New leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion is for the clerk to read the items 39. Sorry, I lost my.
39 through 44.
Through 44, thank you. And these items, we're gonna have the opportunity to ask for co-sponsor, and the items will be passed on a voice vote. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the items one by one and we can get the co-sponsors? Thank you.
Item 39, resolution requesting to study Providence composting is currently sponsored and co-sponsored by Councilman Goncalves, Councilwoman Anthony Castillo, Councilman Correa, Councilwoman LaFortune, Councilor Miller, and Councilwoman Ryan, along with Councilwoman Harris and Council President Matos. Any other co-sponsors?
Can I have a second, Madam President?
Councilman Adichie?
Mr. Clerk, I gave you a list of co-sponsors during the week as we're supposed to do. And for whatever reason, everything that I asked to be co-sponsor on, I'm not listed. Number 39 was also one of them. I'm looking at others moving forward, like 41 and 42, that I asked to co-sponsor 43, and there's no co-sponsors. My name is not on any of them.
Can we?
Madam President, if I may, Councilman, we haven't gotten to those items.
No, I know.
He's gonna read them and ask for sponsorships.
That's not my situation. My situation is back on Tuesday, like we're asked to give a list to the clerk of what we want to co-sponsor. I did that, and they're not on here. They should be listed. I should be already listed as a co-sponsor for these particular items that I put in for.
Councilman Adichie, we're gonna look into that. So I just want to propose something to see if it makes things easier for all of us. What if I just request, if everyone wants to co-sponsor all the items that we just read right now, can we add everybody's names to them? If you have an item that you don't want to be signed up as co-sponsor, please just let us know. Is that okay? Does that make things easier?
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just want to get
I think that's a great idea.
of what happened originally.
I'm getting some feedback.
Is this me?
Sorry, I'm getting some audio.
Oh,
Wow, I don't understand. That's supposed to be coming from me. I don't know where it's coming from. Madam President, a lot of times with these items of co-sponsoring, if I don't know a lot about the topic, I usually listen to the sponsor if I don't get any information on it.
Okay.
Because I just can't track everything. And so it makes me proud when one of the sponsors calls me up and they explain things. I'm learning as well. So I don't want my name added to anything unless I know about it. That has always been my rule.
Yep.
And I don't want to change it. So for me not to add on until I know more about it.
All right, so let's go back to the, thank you for the feedback. Mr. Clerk, then can you please just read the items one by one? Can we go for item number 39, make sure that we have all the co-sponsors for it?
I would like to co-sponsor 39.
Councilman Taylor,
I mean, I had already
Salvatore,
asked for
Espinal,
co-sponsor.
Narducci,
I'd like to co-sponsor, Madam President, item number 39.
Igliosi, Castillo. Any additional co-sponsor?
I'm not sure where I co-sponsor 39, but I would like to if my name is not already there.
Okay. I have Councilor Kerwin and Castillo also.
Okay, thank you. Item number 40, a resolution urging Governor Raimondo and the Rhode Island Department of Health to prioritize public school educators for COVID-19 vaccine access. Councilman Goncalves, Councilwoman Castillo, Councilman Correa, Espinal, and Councilwoman LaFortune, and I believe Councilman Narducci was also supposed to be on that one as well.
Ryan, Leader Ryan, Salvatore. I would like to co-sponsor also. Any additional co-sponsor? Leader Harris?
Okay, I had my hand up. I said, maybe I'm invisible. Okay.
It's a lot of windows in front of me. I'm trying to, if I don't get to you, yell. Anybody else is gonna co-sponsor here? Castillo? Number 40? Castillo, okay. All right. Mr. Clerk.
Item 41. Resolution requesting posting of alternative off-street parking locations during a parking ban. We have Councilman Goncalves, Councilwoman Castillo, Councilman Correa, Councilwoman LaFortune, and Councilor Miller. And I believe Councilman Narducci was also on that one.
So Councilman Narducci, Councilman Salvatore, Leader Ryan, Councilwoman Castillo, your hands is up. Councilman Taylor. I would like to co-sponsor also. Any additional co-sponsor? Councilwoman Harris, Leader Harris.
Thank you. Item 42, resolution requesting funding of a crisis intervention team in the fiscal year 2022 city budget. I have Councilwoman LaFortune, Anthony, Councilman Correa, Espinal, and Councilor Miller, Councilman Goncalves, and Councilman Narducci, I believe, was on that one as well. Is there
any additional co-sponsor?
Thank you, Sean.
I see Councilman Salvatore. Councilwoman LaFortune, I believe you want to speak. I'm going to take the co-sponsors first. Thank you. Any additional co-sponsors? I would like to co-sponsor also. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Thank you. I'm trying not to echo because my internet is a bit unstable, so I'm calling in to speak. Thank you, everyone. And I know there was a resolution that was put in asking for the city to create a crisis response team during the summer. But what this resolution does is requesting that the city includes a crisis response program within the city's budget. From the end of May until this fall, I actually convened a group of people that included behavioral health experts, members of the administration's Healthy Communities department, the policy department, a faculty member from some of our universities, one whose background is in behavioral health and social services, and someone who's a faculty and research is in criminal justice system. And what we did was create, and I've shared this in the past, we created a framework around a crisis response team. And I actually communicated that information to the former chief of staff as well as the chair. I'm not sure if the chair ever received the email. Hopefully, I'm requesting, if you had a chance to see it, but requesting to have an opportunity to be able to present what we have developed to the Finance Committee, and as well as hopefully once that's done to Council. Throughout the community, we have heard people advocating. We've seen the various issues around disparities within our state, our city, and our nation. And what people have been demanding is for us to have an alternative to putting people who are suffering from a behavioral health incident to or any type of mental health incident, from placing them into the justice system. People should not be criminalized for having a mental health breakdown. People should get services and the resources that they need. That service should be part of our city structure. Austin, Texas, there are other cities throughout the country that have created crisis response, and it is embedded within their public safety. Because a crisis response or any type of crisis that is related to behavioral health or someone is experiencing is part of a city's public health or public safety. And so what this resolution is calling for is for us to have a budget line item within public safety that is allocated towards a crisis response team. So that if someone is having any type of crisis, they call public safety, they call for help, that can be diverted to the appropriate crisis response department, and they can send someone out, a community worker, a mental health specialist, to respond, triage the situation and stabilize it, but also connect people to the appropriate continued service. And the other thing for us to consider is that we do have many nonprofits within the city that are doing exceptional work. This would not take away from the work that's being done. And each nonprofit or service provider has a unique experience or unique strengths. But what we have to do is to be able to connect people to those services. And that's where the gap exists. And so if there is a third party that exists, or we have to rely on someone else to do it, if someone calls 911, they're not going to be automatically transferred. They have to figure out on their own how to get there. But by having it included in the city budget, by prioritizing it, we know that this is going to be something that's part of our city structure. If someone has a crisis response, they'll get the service that they need at that moment, and then can be connected to one of our service providers within the city or the state. So I do hope that as we start having the budget discussion, that this is something that's considered. The community is asking for it. In fact, they're demanding for us to have a line item for a crisis response initiative within the city. And I think it's something needed. We're seeing more municipalities are implementing this type of model. And I think we could implement it right here in the city of Providence, and not just rely on philanthropic support for it in grants, but have it part of our budget so that it's something that is sustained even when this council is long gone. So I thank my co-sponsors, and I hope that all of you can support this.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
The next item is item 43, a resolution recognizing Haitian Independence Day. And we have, it's the same sponsors as the item before: Councilwoman LaFortune, Anthony, Councilman Correa, Espinal, Councilor Miller, and Councilman Goncalves and Narducci. Are there any additional sponsors? And I also have Council President Matos and Councilwoman Harris. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
I see Councilman Salvatore, Leader Ryan, Councilwoman Castillo, Councilor Kerwin, Councilman Taylor, and I see Councilwoman LaFortune wants to speak, and just going through the co-sponsors. Any additional co-sponsor to this item? Councilor Kerwin already got. Great, Councilwoman LaFortune.
Thank you, Council President. So today I'm wearing my blue. The Haitian colors are blue and red. I see Council President is always also wearing blue. The Haitian Revolution is one of the most important historical events, not only for the Americas, for the world. When I think about the Haitian Revolution, I think about the Enlightenment ideals of liberty, equality, and justice, which also influenced the American Revolution, which occurred from 1775 to 1783, as well as the French Revolution, 1789 to 1799. From 1791 to 1804, a series of events and conflicts erupted on this little island called La Hispaniola that led to one of the most historical and successful revolutions in the Americas and in the New World. An uprising like no other, initiated and led by enslaved Africans. A rebellion that not only ended slavery, but the control of the French in what is now known as Haiti, or Haiti. A revolution that proved that Enlightenment, ideals, and egalitarian societies apply to all people, regardless of their race, regardless of their background. This was a revolution that changed society's perception of what it meant to be Black, oppressed, and enslaved. Because it proved that when people unite, people who are persecuted, ostracized, when they come together, they can overcome the institutions of hate and oppression and fight for liberation. So the motto of Haiti is l'union fait la force. Union makes strength. And what is so powerful about this is that it shows us the power of people. And the Haitian Revolution doesn't only impact Haiti, but it impacts the world. Not only did Haiti fight for their independence, the only Black republic to do so, and might I add, to fight one of the greatest armies in the world, Napoleon Bonaparte's army. Haiti also cared about the liberations of other people, Simón Bolívar. Now, Colombia, what was once Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Simón Bolívar, Haiti provided Central and South America's, or contributed to Central and South America's liberation by providing them with arms, a printing press, resources. And in fact, Simón Bolívar, after he lost the first war, he went to Haiti, and he was in the south part of Haiti, and Pétion, because once Haiti gained its independence, it had like two sections. There was the north, or Nord, and the Sud, the south, which Henry Christophe built the beautiful castles that is one of the wonders in the world. It still exists today. And Pétion, which was around the Jacmel region. And even after he lost, he went kind of into exile in Haiti. And for a second time, Haiti provided him with resources because they believed in the liberation of people and the freedom of people. And so earlier this evening, Councilman Igliozzi talked a bit about the events that occurred yesterday. And throughout the nation for years, not just things that happened or the events that happened over the summer, we've seen people uniting, right, to fight for freedom. Because freedom is more than just physical liberation, but it's a liberation of the state of mind. It's creating policies that provide people access. It's ensuring that there's equity and justice. And we've seen for centuries, for years, people marching, advocating, demanding for the world to see their humanities, demanding for civil rights. What occurred yesterday was an act of terrorism, an act of treason. We saw people who stormed our state capitol, who hung a noose. And we think about the symbolism of a noose. In fact, in Haiti, lynching actually started in Haiti. And they say in history that in Haiti, the lynching was the most brutal. These behaviors and acts are triggers. They're immoral. They don't represent democracy. They don't represent equity. They don't represent justice. All it represents is hate. And I think about us as a council and the work that we do as leaders, and our own behaviors. And although we didn't do what these people did, but there are certain actions that sometimes we take that are inequitable, that doesn't represent love or a community that's attempting to unite with one another. We've seen these things in the media. We have experienced those traumas, and we have to do better. Because this week we're celebrating, or January 1st, we celebrate the history of a nation, right, that united and oppressed people that came together and said, you know what, we are going to liberate ourselves. And after liberating ourselves, we're going to ensure that other people are liberated. And to this day, Haiti continues to pay for that liberation. Haiti has paid France over $2 billion for that freedom. And Black people throughout the world continues to pay for that liberation. And so we are lucky to be a part of a council of people from different races, ethnicities, socioeconomic status, and from different parts of the city. And it's important for us as a council to see each other, to respect one another, to treat each other as human beings and see each of our humanity. Because we can't continue to put out statements and resolutions if we behave in a way that doesn't represent the things that we are saying. And so I urge all of you, as you think about the Haitian Revolution, and we should also be teaching it in our history, in our history classes in our schools. We think about what has happened yesterday. And I also want to remind people that in 1923, this week was the week where the Rosewood Massacre occurred in Florida. My freshman year of college, I went to Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, Florida, which is an HBCU. And it's 2 hours, the county where the Rosewood Massacre occurred is about 2.5 hours west of Daytona Beach. That was a massacre where, based on lies, falsehood, and these theories, they burned down and they murdered. They burned down a Black community and they murdered Black people. And it was done by a white mob. For what? Because of hate. Because of the inability to see one's humanity. Because of the fear of losing their white privilege and power. That happened in 1923. We're in 2021. And those same types of behaviors, those actions that hate still exist today. So I do hope that going forward, we think about the cost of liberation, the cost of freedom, the cost of equity, the cost of justice. And when we are doing our work, when we are implementing policies, when we are speaking to one another, when we are talking to staff, please think about these things and acknowledge that if we're behaving in a way that doesn't represent what those things mean, we should not be in these leadership positions. Not just in leadership in council, on council, but elected officials. Because we represent our communities. Our young people are watching us. They are following our example. And if we are conducting ourselves in a way that is inappropriate, that entices hate, our young people are going to do the same. So we need to change it. And so I hope that all of you can celebrate with me. I ate my soup jumeau, which is Haitian squash soup, on January 1st, which for us is the taste of liberation and freedom, because Haitians, although enslaved people, would cook this dish, they were never allowed to eat it. And so I leave everyone with a quote from Laurent Dubois' book, which I have actually, when I was at Drexel, I taught the history of the Haitian Revolution, and it's called Avengers of the New World, the story of the Haitian Revolution. And the quote is, by creating a society in which all people of all colors were granted freedom and citizenship, the Haitian Revolution forever transformed the world. It was a central part of the destruction of slavery in the Americas, and therefore a crucial moment in the history of democracy, one that led the foundation for the continuing struggles for human rights everywhere. In this sense, we are all, every single one of us, are all descendants of the Haitian Revolution and responsible to these ancestors. So that is a major responsibility. So as our gratitude for these ancestors, let us behave in a way that represents justice, that represents equality, that represents love, and that represents unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you. Are there any additional co-sponsors for item 43?
Councilman Salvatore? Any additional?
Thank you. Item. Sorry.
Go ahead. Continue.
Item 44, resolution recognizing the value of school libraries and the contributions of library media specialists within the Providence schools. This is sponsored by Councilwoman LaFortune, Councilman Goncalves, Councilman Correa, Espinal, and Councilor Miller. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Majority Leader Ryan, Councilman Salvatore, Councilwoman Castillo,
Co-sponsor, Madam President.
Councilman Narducci, Councilwoman Anthony. I see Councilman Espinal, Councilwoman LaFortune. I imagine you guys want to speak, right? So just gonna take the co-sponsors first. Chairman Igliosi. Okay. Any additional co-sponsor? I would like to co-sponsor the item also.
I'd like to co-sponsor, Council President. I can't find my raise my hand button.
This, that would be the Majority Leader Harris. Any additional? Okay, so Councilman Goncalves.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to speak briefly about item 39 and then 44. 39 being a resolution to study Providence composting. And I'd like to thank the sponsors. This is a resolution put forth in partnership with Zero Waste Providence that supports a study on Providence composting, which would result in a study to look at residential composting and explore composting practices in Providence, and also identify opportunities to reduce food waste from the residential waste stream. And I want to thank Katie Murphy and Ainsley Brosnan Smith of Zero Waste Providence and for their advocacy, and of course thank you all for your partnership and co-sponsorship on these important initiatives. And I look forward to working with you on this composting plan and other pertinent environmental policies that move our city forward. For item 44, I want to start by saying unequivocally that school librarians matter. Library media specialists matter. Our students matter. As an educator and also a Providence public school alum, I can attest to the numerous ways in which my school librarians encourage me and other children to become voracious readers or engage in inquiry-based learning. And we can go on and on about all the other countless ways that they positively impact our children. And impact studies have clearly shown the positive correlation between high-quality library programs and student achievement. Additionally, school librarians and library media specialists across the Providence Public School District are some of the most important educators, teaching our kids crucial critical thinking skills. And it's imperative that we fill vacancies of these essential positions. And I want to thank Councilwoman LaFortune for her partnership on bringing this forth. I also want to thank Sarah Mornon and Sheila Conway and the numerous members of our community who have sent letters of support recognizing the value of school libraries and the contributions of library media specialists. And I want to thank you all for your support on this particular resolution in support of our children and the critical work that librarians and library media specialists do in our schools and in the city of Providence. So thank you very much, Council President. And with that, I yield the floor.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. And thank you for recognizing Susan. I have a bit, I joked with Councilman Gonzalez and said that I have a bit of a bias when it comes to libraries because I learned how to read in English and the English language in the libraries. I learned how to research in the libraries. I fell in love with books in the libraries. For many of our students, the school libraries is the only place that they have access to books, reading materials, a computer. Not every person lives within walking distance to a public library. So it's important that we fund our libraries and we support our school library media specialists. They're a critical resource in our schools. If we didn't need them, we wouldn't have them. Look at how much money universities invest in their libraries. Our kids should have the same access. So I do hope that everyone supports this. And the takeaways from this is that we need our libraries to be fully staffed. They are in trouble right now. Some of them are closed. Our students can't access them. And we also need to make sure that the school district is fully funding our libraries. So having the resources that they need, having a budget so that they can purchase the necessary tools, technology, and books to support students as well as teachers and the librarians. So thank you to everyone who's co-sponsored this. And I hope that we continue to advocate for resources for our young people and resources that will benefit them throughout their whole learning trajectory. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we are voting from items 39 through 44, and the motion was made on second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, I have it. Mr. Clerk.
Reports from Haitian Finance, Council Sanjay.
Mr. Clerk, 1 second. We're getting feedback, so I cannot hear you. Okay. All right. Let's try again. Go ahead.
Reports from committee. Councilman John J. Igliozzi, Chairman, transmits the following from the Committee on Finance. Item 45. Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract extension award by the Board of Contract and Supply in accordance with Section 21-26B of the Code of Ordinances. Building Futures on behalf of the Office of Economic Opportunity in the amount of $82,688, sponsored by Council President Matos, Councilor Salvatore, and Councilman Correa.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan.
motion to pass item 45 on a voice vote and to refer back to the Board of Contract and Supply.
Second, Madam President.
The motion has been made on second to pass item number 45 on a voice vote, and this item is going to be referred back to the Board of Contract and Supply. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'm recusing.
Councilor Miller is going to recuse. Yeah, I have it.
So noted. Thank you. From the clerk's desk, item 46, petitions for compensation for injuries and damages.
Severely referred into the Committee on Claims and Pending Suit.
Communications and reports. Item 47. Communication from Stephanie Fortunato, Director, Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism, dated November 4th, 2020, appointing Dr. Eric B. Christensen of 150 Rochambeau Avenue, Providence, Rhode Island, 02906, as the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism.
Leader Ryan,
I do not have that on my docket. I'm looking. I'm sorry.
okay, that's fine. 47 to 54.
Just a second.
Again, can I have a motion for, to ask the clerk to waive the readings of item 47 to 54? and
I
these
will make
items will
that
be
motion.
received?
Thank you.
Did I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and second to ask the clerk to waive the readings of item 47 through 54, and these items are going to be received. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I have it.
Presentation of resolutions and congratulations. Item 55, Council President Matos and members of the City Council, resolution extending congratulations.
Leader Ryan,
Motion to pass item 55 on a voice vote.
Second.
motion has been made and second to pass item number 55 on a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I have it.
Presentation of resolutions in memoriam. Item 56, Council President Matos and members of the City Council, resolution extending sympathy.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan,
motion to pass item 56 on a unanimous rising vote.
Second.
motion has been made and second to pass item number 56 on a unanimous rising vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Yeah, I have it. Leader Ryan,
Madam President, motion to adjourn this evening in loving memory of Shirley Narducci, the beloved mother of our colleague, Nicholas Narducci. I'd also like to close in memory of Charlotte Rosie Watkins, mother of Donna Whiting. Also family members of our colleague, Pedro Espinal, Sarah Espinal, Cirillo Reyes, as well as our friend and news reporter, famous news reporter, Bill Rapley, all who have passed recently, as well as all those who have lost their lives to COVID-19. On behalf of the Providence City Council, I offer our condolences to their family and friends, to all those lost.
Second that, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you.
motion has been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all.
Thank
Be
you.
well and be safe, everybody.